Welcome to the Deep Dive podcast channel. Today, we're going to explore something really fundamental to our experience. The intricate dance we do with allowing ourselves to be truly seen by others, emotionally seen.
It's a core human dynamic, isn't
It
it?
really is.
Yeah.
It's this curious thing, this deep yearning we have for connection, for being understood, and yet that very act, opening ourselves up, can feel, incredibly risky.
That tension is right at the heart of it. We're wired for connection, absolutely. Our survival, our well-being depends on it, historically speaking. But the vulnerability that comes with revealing our inner world, that triggers some really deep-seated protective mechanisms.
Yeah. Think for a moment maybe about the last time you held back a part of yourself in a conversation, or perhaps downplayed a feeling. What was that like for you? If exploring these sort of hidden parts of ourselves and understanding why we sometimes build these walls resonates with you, we really invite you to subscribe. And we want to say to you listening right now that this is intended as a space where your inner experiences are acknowledged. We really aim to create a sense of being seen, understood, and importantly, safe as we delve into these topics together.
That's the goal, a safe exploration.
So let's unpack this idea of vulnerability itself. What does it truly mean? Is it just, exposing ourselves completely? Or is there something more nuanced?
Well, the sources we've looked at suggest that while vulnerability can feel like exposure, that sense of being emotionally naked, as you said at its heart, it's actually a form of courage.
Courage, how so?
It's about showing up authentically, with our imperfections, our truths, and trusting that they have value. It's not just spilling everything to everyone.
Wait.
It's more of a discerning presentation of your genuine self.
That distinction feels really key between just exposure and genuine courage. It's almost like we've been taught to see vulnerability as weakness, maybe.
That's a common misconception.
But the insights we've gathered paint a different picture entirely. They suggest this very openness is what actually paves the way for, deeper connection.
Precisely. And it's fascinating how often it is misunderstood. Far from being a sign of fragility, it represents really a profound kind of emotional bravery.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about expressing love for the first time, or maybe sharing a really deeply personal memory. Those moments, they inherently carry the risk of rejection, don't they?
Absolutely. Huge risk.
Yet they're also the very gateways to real intimacy, to understanding.
Okay, so if it's this fundamental building block for connection, why does being truly seen feel so threatening for so many of us? Our research points to some pretty formative experiences shaping this fear.
Yes, absolutely. Our insights really highlight shame as a particularly powerful factor here.
Shame.
Yeah, it's that internal narrative, that critical voice that kind of whispers, if they really see the real you, they won't like it, they'll leave. It reflects this deeply ingrained belief that our innermost feelings, our true selves, are somehow just unacceptable or unlovable.
And it sounds like these really deep feelings often start way back, maybe in our earliest relationships, childhood.
Absolutely. Children are just exquisitely attuned to how their caregivers respond. So if their emotional expressions were consistently, say, dismissed or ridiculed, maybe even punished,
Yeah.
they internalize a really powerful message. It is fundamentally unsafe to reveal their authentic selves. These early relational patterns can create a template, really, for avoiding openness throughout life.
The idea of conditional love also seems really significant here.
Yeah.
Like if love felt like something you had to earn.
That's a crucial point. If love felt contingent on performance or pleasing others, it teaches us that our inherent worth just isn't enough on its own.
So vulnerability becomes liability.
Exactly. It becomes risky. The child learns to prioritize behaviors that get approval, right?
Yeah.
And often suppresses their genuine feelings, their needs in the process.
Which leads to...
Well, it can set up a lifelong pattern of maybe people-pleasing and this deep-seated fear of revealing anything that feels like an imperfection.
And these early lessons, they show up in our adult relationships, often without us even realizing it.
Indeed. Our understanding points to several defense mechanisms that develop because of this underlying fear.
Like what?
Well, one is a tendency to sabotage closeness.
Sabotage.
Yeah, that almost unconscious urge to create distance just when a relationship starts to feel truly meaningful. It's like a preemptive strike, trying to avoid potential hurt before it happens.
Okay, that makes sense. Emotional unavailability is another one we see mentioned often. That feeling of someone being there physically, but just distant,
Yeah.
inaccessible.
Right. And emotional unavailability isn't always about a lack of caring or even a conscious choice. Often, it's really functioning as a protective barrier.
A shield.
Exactly. A way to shield oneself from the potential pain linked with intimacy. People might intellectualize feelings, keep things superficial, just to avoid real emotional engagement.
And then there's perfectionism, which, on the surface can seem like a really good trait. But our insights suggest it could be another form of that protective armor.
Oh, perfectionism can be a remarkably effective disguise. The underlying message is often something like, if I can just maintain this flawless exterior, I'll be immune to judgment, to rejection.
But the cost?
Well, the cost is that this relentless pursuit of an impossible ideal means you're constantly hiding the very human parts of yourself, the fears, the vulnerabilities, the struggles.
So what is the real cost then of living behind all this armor? What happens when we consistently avoid letting ourselves be truly seen?
Our research highlights several pretty significant consequences. One of the most profound is a deep sense of loneliness, even within relationships.
Loneliness even when you're with someone.
Yes. You can be right there, physically close, but still feel profoundly isolated if you're not allowing your authentic self to be seen and known. There's this fundamental disconnect when you feel loved for an image you project, rather than, for who you actually are.
And it sounds like this disconnection isn't just outwards towards others, but inwards too, impacting our relationship with ourselves.
Absolutely. The more we actively suppress our emotions, hide our true selves from others, the more estranged we become from our own inner landscape, our own feelings.
So you lose touch.
Over time, yes, you might lose touch with your own desires, your needs, even your intuition. In a very real way, you can become a stranger to yourself.
Wow. And the constant effort, the vigilance required to keep that facade up, that must take a huge toll on just general well-being, right?
It's incredibly draining. Living in that state of constant hypervigilance, always scanning for threats, meticulously editing your truth, it creates this state of chronic tension underlying anxiety.
Exhausting.
Utterly exhausting. And it's an unsustainable way to live, never feeling truly safe enough to just be yourself.
Okay, this paints a really compelling picture of why we might fear being seen. But thankfully, our insights also offer a hopeful perspective. They outline what it means to cultivate emotional availability and how we might start addressing this deep fear.
Yes, there is hope. And emotional availability, it isn't about some constant outpouring of emotion. At its core, it's really about presence.
Presence.
Yeah, the capacity to be fully present with your own emotional experience and also with the emotions of others without immediately shutting down or getting defensive or feeling you have to fix things right away.
So it's like communicating, I'm here and I'm real with you.
Exactly. Both verbally and non-verbally. That's the essence of it.
It also seems to involve developing an ability to tolerate discomfort, both our own difficult feelings and seeing difficult feelings in others. That idea of just being with it instead of running away.
Precisely. It's recognizing that discomfort is just an inherent, natural part of being human, and then gradually developing the capacity to stay present with it, maybe learn from it, rather than resorting to avoidance or, numbing strategies.
That ability to sit with discomfort sounds like a key part of emotional resilience.
It absolutely is a cornerstone, really.
And our understanding also emphasizes that healthy vulnerability needs clear boundaries. It's definitely not about just sharing every single detail of our lives with everyone we meet.
Oh, that's a critical distinction. Vulnerability is deeply personal. It's almost sacred in a way, and it requires discernment.
Meaning,
Meaning asking yourself some crucial questions. Is this person emotionally safe for me? Am I sharing from a place of real authenticity? Or is this maybe driven by old, unresolved stuff? Healthy boundaries protect us, but they still allow for genuine connection with people we trust.
okay, so when we think about healing this fear of being seen, our insights point towards several therapeutic approaches. It sounds like engaging with our inner child is pretty foundational.
Often, yes. Revisiting those early experiences where we first learned, consciously or not, that openness wasn't safe, that's often a crucial step. Inner child work gives us a chance to offer ourselves the kind of reparenting maybe we didn't get.
Like validating those early wounds.
Exactly. Validating them with compassion and starting to build an internal sense of safety that allows for more authentic self-expression now, in the present.
And alongside that, building resilience to shame and practicing self-compassion seem vital.
Absolutely vital. Shame really thrives in secrecy, doesn't it? And under the weight of harsh self-judgment.
So practices that cultivate self-compassion help.
Immensely. Things like reflective journaling, mindfulness techniques, certain therapies like internal family systems or IFS and a compassion-focused therapy, CFT, they help us reframe how we see shame.
How so?
We start to see it not as some inherent truth about who we are, but more as a learned response to things that happened in the past.
The connection between our nervous system and our ability to be vulnerable also came up in our exploration.
Yes, our nervous system plays a huge role in our sense of safety, and therefore in our ability to be emotionally open. Just anticipating vulnerability can trigger a fear response.
A fight or flight kind of thing.
Exactly. So engaging in somatic practices, things like mindful breath work, grounding exercises, can help regulate the nervous system. It fosters a greater sense of safety in the body itself.
And that physical safety supports emotional availability.
It supports it significantly, yes.
And finally, our understanding really underscores the transformative power of relational repair, especially within the safety of therapy.
Therapy offers this unique, invaluable space, a place to practice vulnerability bit by bit, and to actually experience being met with consistent empathy, with genuine understanding.
Those safe corrective experiences.
They can gradually rewire our expectations about relationships. They teach us, maybe for the first time, that being truly seen doesn't have to lead to rejection or hurt. In fact, it can be the very pathway to deeper connection, to healing, and to growth.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the psychology of vulnerability and this often really powerful fear of being seen, we're kind of left with this thought. Consider for a moment, if the very armor we carefully build to protect ourselves also, maybe inadvertently, keeps us from the connection and understanding we really long for, what small step, maybe even a tentative one, might you consider taking towards showing up in your own life with just a little more of your authentic self?
A powerful question to ponder. We really trust this exploration has offered you some valuable insights into, the intricate nature of vulnerability and emotional availability.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. If you found this discussion helpful, maybe insightful, we really encourage you to subscribe for more in-depth explorations into the complexities of the human experience.